You can check that out anywhere you get your podcast. But, Ben, we love that you're aboard the Birdland train, and it's for good reason, too. But when you look at Adley, what is it to you that puts him above somebody, especially when you've got guys like JT Realmuto out there?
Yeah, I just think in baseball, it's hard to find somebody that the second they come up, the entire franchise turns around. And with the Orioles, you can point to the exact day that he came up to them playing great baseball. From the day he came up last year on into this year. It's really uncanny. You don't ever really see that in sports. Sometimes you see a turnaround like a year or 2 years from a top prospect coming up, but you never really see it make an immediate impact. And to me, that says a couple of things. What you see on the field, obviously those numbers you guys just put up speak for themselves. The player he is, offensively, defensively, but he's clearly a leader and a good guy in the clubhouse and a guy that a team can rally around. And for a guy with that much hype, I had him on my podcast you mentioned just a couple of weeks ago, and he talked about that hype. And I said, I feel like he had the most hype coming up since a Bryce Harper. And for him to do what he's done since he's come up, I truly believe he has cemented himself as the best catcher in baseball.
And he's absolutely, it's funny too, a very different personality, which is really great just to see how many different walks we can get that are leading the younger generation of baseball fans. Now, you also recently compared the Orioles to another dynasty in the Houston Astros. Of course, they both share general manager Mike Elias in common, but that 2026 World Series prediction, I guess you could call it, what do you think it is for the Orioles that gets them there?
You know, the term dynasty in baseball, I truly believe is a little bit different than every other sport just because it's so hard to win multiple championships. Forget back-to-back. Just winning multiple in a 3, 4, 5 year stretch is very difficult. So I tend to think that gets you there in the baseball sense. And I really just started thinking about it because I've been watching the Orioles a lot. I'm a big fan of what's going on out at Camden Yards these days with the bird bath out there. And it's just I've been saying for weeks now, I need to get to Camden Yards. It looks like the most exciting place right now to take in a game. So you look at the crowd that's coming back, the team that's on the field. They have the second best record in baseball. They're the third youngest team in baseball while also putting up the record they have. And then you start looking in the minor leagues, and they're really nowhere close to being done talent-wise. I mean, Norfolk has like the best run differential by far of anybody. So obviously great talent there. And then you look at the #1 pick, Jackson Holliday, and it's like this kid is 19 years old doing things that I can't fathom at 19. He was facing 80-mile-an-hour pitching last year in high school, and now he's in professional baseball, and at every level he's been to, he's tearing the cover off the ball. And you look at his comparison, I think forever Jackson Holliday is going to be compared to Drew Jones, right? Just how they were drafted. And Drew Jones, as also same age, is struggling to adjust because literally anybody ever would struggle to adjust to the professional level from high school. And what Jackson Holliday is doing is super impressive. And there are so many comparisons to the Houston Astros when they went through a period of time, the exact same length period of time, where the Orioles were a tough team, like tough as in a bad way, and the Astros were in the same boat. But you rack up those #1 picks, and you have to do it right. It's not easy. It's a lot easier said than done to draft correctly. And the Astros did that, and as you saw, pieces started trickling into the major leagues, and they started to have success. The George Springers of the world, and then their international signings, Carlos Correa, Jose Altuve, they start coming up. And it's eerily similar to what's happening right now with the Orioles, where those guys start coming up and you start having the success, but it's nowhere close to all the talent that you have combined down in the minor leagues. And I just see so many similarities. And what has to happen now is there has to be complete and total buy-in from the organization, willing to go get pieces, arms, one big bat, and compare it and combine it with your young core. And from there, you're off and running.
It's going to be interesting to see what they can do. And to your point, the Yankees' own Susan Waldman told Cedric Mullins the other day he was that Jose Altuve form of that veteran who's been in this organization from the start of the rebuild. But I know everything that you've just said just means the bird bath is going to welcome you with open arms when you do finally make it into Baltimore for this one, Ben. We can't wait to see you there.
Yeah, I can't wait to get there. Thank you guys so much for having me.